So in the NBA community, we always like to focus in on, the all-stars, the big names, the guys who drive the ratings. But when it comes to going far in the playoffs and winning championships, honestly, probably just as important is having a good collection of role players. So who are the absolute best in the league today? Before we start talking about who the best role players in the NBA are, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. So there's no clear definition of what a role player is, and when I was trying to come up with a list for this video, I actually tried setting like some conditions, and every time I tried to put like a new parameter, it just eliminated someone that I wanted to include on the list. So eventually I was just like, you know what? Fuck it, we're gonna throw it all out. We're gonna do it on vibes, okay?
When we were doing research for this video, we even saw people listen like Klay Thompson as a role player back in his prime, not modern day Klay Thompson.
The guy who scored 60 points and 37 and a quarter. Role player.
That's batshit insane. If you want to say he's 3-and-D, fine, he's not a role player, but it's so tough to tell what a role player is.
So we'll do our best.
Yeah.
And of course, like, we can't cover everyone because we'd be here for like over an hour, and I got a plane to catch here soon. We're actually both going on the vacation this weekend, so we got places to be. So if there's someone that we missed, we've thought about them, but we only had so much room on this list. So again, we're doing our best.
We're going to start with Derek White, though. Maybe the guy you think of when you think of championship role player. Like, obviously, there's a lot of guys on Boston you can pull from, but Derek White, especially like what he did last year for that championship team, is a guy you have to think of. And in the small sample size this season, we're recording this only 3 games in, dude has been terrific. He's their 3rd leading scorer, shooting 52.6% from the field, 43.5% from 3, and on top of that, he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA. I mean, remember last season, like a couple months in, we saw like some hype for him being an all-star, which was kind of mocked at.
It was roundly mocked.
I mean, but at the same time, like if he had a bigger role on some teams, dude might be like an all-star level player. The problem is he's on the Boston Celtics. He can only put up like numbers that are so good.
I mean, if he keeps putting up the numbers he's been putting up so far, he has an outside shot at making the all-star team. Like I could see a guy putting up those numbers being like an injury replacement if he's lucky, something like that. Yeah, but I mean, he's playing great on offense. He's also leading the Celtics in blocks per game among guys who are like actually playing in the rotation as a 6'4" shooting guard. On offense, I mean, Porzingis hasn't played yet for the Celtics so far this year, so when he comes back, White's probably going to take a little bit of a step back on offense. But if he gives you what he gives you what he gave you last year, which is basically 15 points a game, good shooting, great defense, what more could you really ask for? I mean, he keeps doing that. I mean, he might graduate from role player into what's next, like borderline star, I guess, at that point.
Yeah, I would call it that. I mean, the Celtics just aren't fair. We'll talk about them more here later. Just so many damn good players on that roster.
Now onto a player that was maybe in that borderline star category in Orlando, but gave up being the #1 option in order to be a role player on a contender, and that's Aaron Gordon. And he has been just so good for the Nuggets, and it stings us because, of course, we have to mention it. Around the 2021 trade deadline, the Blazers were heavily linked with a trade for Gordon, but apparently we weren't willing to meet the Magic's asking price. Instead, we traded for Norman Powell, who was an undersized scoring guard, because, we really lack those in the city of Portland. Instead, Gordon went on to Denver and became, honestly, a perfect fit for that offense. I mean, I can't count the amount of lobs and just dunks this guy has caught from perfect Jokic passes just by sitting down there in the dunker spot.
I mean, the funny thing is, it's the only team in NBA history where you have a center throwing lobs to your power forward, and it's always beautiful to watch. His versatility is just crazy. Like, he can score if you need him to. I think it was like game 5 of the finals in 2023. He had a very good game, kind of took over, and mainly on defense. Like, I remember the series we played against them. Dude was guarding Dame.
Yeah.
Like, he can legit guard 1 through 4. Could even guard a center if he really needed to. He's been incredible for Denver. That was an amazing pickup for them and really was a big reason they won that championship. And at least Denver's got him locked up.
Yeah.
They don't got a lot of things going for them. Russ looks awful, but this isn't a video to hate on Russ. At least they got him locked up. They lost KCP. They lost Bruce Brown. 2 other very important good role players, but they got him locked up. And his versatility is what makes him just so great.
Yeah, I mean, a guy who consistently scores in double figures, decent passer for a big man, can defend 1 through 4 like you said, serviceable 3-point shooter, and we went with Norman Powell instead.
Fuck me. Now on to KCP, one current Denver Nugget to a former Denver Nugget, and it makes sense that the past 2 champions have players on this list. Like we said, role players are important for winning in basketball. Big loss for the Nuggets losing KCP. He took that 3-year, $66 million contract with the Magic, and he's just known as your quintessential 3-and-D guy. I mean, he was that for the Denver Nuggets. Gives you great defense, a really good 3-point shooter at 40% from 3, helps, add some perimeter defense to help out Murray and Porter Jr. And who could forget, he had the series clinching rebound for the Nuggets in Game 5 of the 2023 finals. Of course, he won with the Lakers in 2020. Absolutely insane they shipped him off a season later. Like,
for Russ of all players.
Yeah, the dude is a winner wherever he goes because 3-and-D is very valuable in the NBA, of course.
And he started off the season for Orlando a little bit slowly, especially from 3. I think at the time of this recording, he's shooting like under 15% from 3, but he's eventually going to get a shot back. And when he do, the Magic are going to have themselves one hell of a weapon. On to Alex Caruso, a guy whose impact rarely, if ever, shows up in the box score, and yet I'm pretty sure every GM in the league would probably chop off their own leg to get him on their team. I mean, just to show this, like, he's averaging 1.7 points per game so far this season on pretty anemic shooting, and yet he's getting rave reviews from teammates and coaches in Oklahoma City. And if you want an idea how much this guy was beloved in Chicago, just go to the Bulls subreddit. I mean, they are distraught that they lost Caruso, and especially that they lost Caruso for Josh Giddey.
And it's funny because they're not even a contending team, so like having him really wouldn't make a difference.
Doesn't help at all, and they still miss him.
I mean, that's just what he does. Like a great perimeter defender, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Again, that's a guy you want on the roster. And again, it's a guy who has a ring. These guys win rings for a reason. I mean, the fact that OKC didn't have to give up any draft picks to go get him is crazy. He's going to be so valuable for them in the playoffs. Just, Shea, don't worry about defense. Just get some buckets. We got Caruso over here to guard their best player. And I mean, the Thunder also have Hartenstein, who maybe if he wasn't injured, we would have put on this list. Like, that's another guy. One of the best role players in the league, was huge for those Knicks teams. And I think the Knicks are kind of missing him early on. Damn, the Thunder are another team. They got their stars, but they also got some damn good role players there.
Yeah, I mean, what I was hearing from the Thunder staff members that got interviewed about Caruso for like an article I was reading recently, it was his fingerprints are on everything. Because not only is he doing everything when he's out there on the court, apparently he's just barking defensive orders out from the sideline. It's an overused term, but like he's a guy on defense at least that's probably like an extra coach on the floor.
Then we got Josh Hart, and he's my favorite role player at least.
Okay.
I mean, it helps that he played with the Blazers, and he was just so damn fun here. And I just love the fact the dude just gives it his all on the court. I mean, look at the damn rebound numbers. You can tell that. I mean, he was here for exactly a year. Who could forget? At least Blazer fans never will forget that 44.8 rebounds, 6 assists outburst versus the Wizards. And I'm happy to see him have all that success for the Knicks. His defense, his hustle, and really it's the rebounding. It's so fun to watch.
He's the best rebounding shooting guard since like prime Dwayne Wade, maybe.
I think I might take Josh Hart.
I might take Hart too.
Some of the rebounding games he puts up are crazy.
I mean, last year he had 2 triple doubles where he had 19 rebounds. Like he had a 13.19 board, 10 assist triple double against the Cavs in early March. And then 9 days later, 2019 and 10 against the 76ers. Both wins, by the way. And this season, home opener against the Pacers, 20 and 10 triple double. And he's got the power of friendship with his fellow Villanova alums, Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges. And if I learned anything from watching all 5 seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's that the power of friendship, it conquers all. It cannot be defeated.
I mean, so far it's been defeated a couple times, so I'm not sure about that.
Yugi lost a couple duels, okay?
Okay,
but
fair.
He eventually comes out on top. So Knicks fans, you got the power of friendship. You're winning the title. It's just, it's mathematics, right? It's simple. Naz Reid, how the fuck did this guy go undrafted?
I don't know.
Looking back on it, like, he was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school, 13-7 as a freshman at LSU. Like, apparently people were saying, he wasn't in the best shape in college. He didn't have a good combine. His agent was telling teams like, oh, don't draft him. He wants to go to Minnesota. But like, take a 2nd-round flyer. Dude was a former 5-star prospect, had a decent freshman year at LSU. Like, could shoot as a big man too. They got him for fucking nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the dude has been incredible there, and from what reports have said, he is a big reason why they moved on from Cat, because Cat's contract was so big. They had just re-signed Naz Reid. They wanted to keep him, and I can see why they felt comfortable. Like, you got this guy coming off the bench who is a starting level player. Like, why not just, trade Cat, get some other assets, and go with him? He's coming off the best season he's had as a pro. 6th man of the year, averaged 13.5 points a night, 5.2 rebounds, 53% from the field, and 41% from 3. So the dude can shoot as a big, and his handle, his package he's got there is just crazy for a dude who's like 6'10".
Time will tell whether the Wolves made the right decision in trading away Cat to retain Reid. But, if they make a deep playoff run, which, like I said, I think they're going to the NBA Finals, he's going to be a huge reason why. And Jrue Holiday, okay, look, I get some people might balk at the idea of him being on this list because they're saying like, oh, he's more than a role player, right? And yeah, he's made 2 All-Star games in his career, made it in 2013, actually just made it 2 seasons ago in 2023. But I mean, at least so far this year, and again, small sample size, couple of games, but he's averaging less minutes, points, rebounds, and assists than Derek White, who basically everyone agrees is a role player. So at this point, if White's a role player, I don't really know what else you could classify Holiday as. And there are plenty of great role players throughout NBA history who made an all-star team here or there. Like Dennis Rodman made a couple of all-star teams in his career, but at 34, he's still arguably the best defensive point guard in the NBA. He's made all defensive team in 6 of the past 7 seasons. And my favorite thing about Jrue Holiday is the dude just has a knack for making big plays in the playoffs. I mean, he did it for the Pelicans. He did it for the Bucks. He's done it for the Celtics. Like, he's a winning player. Everywhere he goes, teams get better. And if we're in a big game situation, I want him on my team.
Yeah, when we were talking before the recording, you brought up Jrue Holiday. I was like, is he a role player? But in his role at the moment, he 100% is. And the one thing I'll say about him more than anything, put him on any roster in the NBA, he fits just perfectly.
Fits like a glove.
Team USA, he was a starter on that team. If you want him to play a point guard role, like early in his career, he averaged 10 plus assists. If you want him to just be this defensive guy, throw him on the other team's best player. His 3-ball has become a lot more consistent than it used to be. Like, the dude, I just think more than maybe any other player in the NBA is just plug and play. You put him on any roster, any lineup, the dude finds a way to fit in. I mean, basically what we've said the entire video, it's not fair that the Boston Celtics have all these guys. How the fuck, who let this happen?
Technically we did.
Yeah, I guess that is true. The Blazers did let this happen.
Maybe we do need the second apron. This is like breaking up the railroads back in like the 1800s or whatever. Like this is going to become a problem here the next couple years.
At this point, we need the third apron because we got to break this up here soon.
So who do we think is the best role player in the NBA today? I mean, for me, I think it's Jrue Holiday. Nothing against all the other guys on this list, but I think Holiday, with his defense, his ability to make big plays in clutch moments, again, I think if called upon, he could still average like 15 plus points a game. He's just playing on a team that doesn't need that from him right now and probably won't need that from him at all. But I know when Boston gets into the playoffs and they are in a big moment, either on offense or defense, Jrue Holiday is going to make a massive play for them at some point this season. With all due respect to the rest of the guys on this list, because I do love a lot of them, if I had to pick any one of these guys to throw on my team, I want Jrue Holiday.
I mean, you're probably right, but I can't take the same player, so I'm going to go with the other Celtics guard. I'm going to say Derek White. Okay. I mean, the defense is basically just as good, maybe not quite. He doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the strength, but like we said, leading the Celtics in blocks, he can block guys. His 3-ball is just insane. His deep 3-ball especially, like there's so many times I've watched the Celtics over the past year, their playoff run, where he just hits like a deep 3, kills all momentum. I mean, who could forget that one off a jump ball against the Mavericks where he hit that? I think they might have even lost the game, but just the the fact that he's able to do stuff like that, I'll go with Derek White. Drew Holiday, he's probably the answer just because of everything he can do. But Derek White, I mean, not a bad option either. The Celtics, they're too stacked.
I was going to say, I'll also give it up to White. Like, he makes big plays in big moments too.
Oh, all the time.
Lest we never forget a couple years ago, Game 6 on the road in Miami, completely saves them with that tip in. I mean, moral of the entire video is Boston stacked.
Yeah.
Look out, rest of the NBA. Boston is, they're a tough out.
Yeah, they're going back to back. Let's just call it now. Season's over, folks. Close up shop. We already know what's going to happen.
That's the video, guys. Who do you think is the best role player in the NBA? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.